Hello once again, everyone. So I've had a request to unwrap the storm drain. So that's what we're going to do in this video. I think everything else has either been covered or is pretty straightforward. So we'll just focus on the storm drain, and then we will move on in the next video to cameras and the lights. And lights is where this is really going to start looking cool. So let's dive right in. I've got the storm drain, both parts of it selected, and I will go into local view with /. And first, let's check and make sure that our scales are applied for both objects, and they are. Now let's take a look at our modifiers. We can start with the kind of main body here. And we have a mirror modifier, so we're going to keep that on because that'll save us some time when we're marking our seams. And to start, I think what we'll do is we'll just grab all of the main corners. You can see our UV editors open here on the left side. We'll just kind of grab all the sharp edges, and then we can kind of sew them and weld them back together as we see fit. So just option clicking and shift option clicking to select the pieces, and we will mark those seams. Okay. And if we need to, for now, we can also hide the grate and just focus on the frame. All right, we'll grab this corner here, and it's right on the corner. And we'll mark that seam. Come around the back side here. Same thing. We'll grab these corners, mark the seam. Remember, this grate doesn't have a bottom, so we don't have to worry about that. Let's see. Come around here. We'll separate the kind of inside walls from the outside. I'm going to grab this corner right here. I'll mark that seam. And then I think I want this whole top piece to kind of lay flat. So I'm going to make this little flat part of that. And let me turn off the subdivision surface modifier in edit mode so that I can see all of the corners clearly. I'm going to grab these three edges right there. I'll mark that seam. So now this is going to be its own island. We can look at the inside here. And let's put another seam. I'll go like right here. We'll mark that seam. And we'll have to go down here as well. And we'll mark that seam on those inside corners. Okay. Let's see. Our corner seam went all the way through there, so that's good. I think we're at a point where let's select everything and hit unwrap and see what happens. Okay, that's pretty good. Let's apply our material here, our UV test grid, and look at it in material preview. You'll see there is what it looks like an angle, but really that's just because the geometry itself angles up. So we're good there. And I know that's rotated, but we'll deal with packing here in a second. I think I'm pretty good with that. I'm trying to see if there's any other places that I might want to combine seams. We could this seam back here. We could clear that seam. We don't necessarily need that one. Select everything and unwrap it again. Yeah, it makes that more solid. Now, remember this is only the mirrored half of it, so this will actually double in number of pieces. But for now, this helps us kind of figure out what's what. Let's see if we turn on sync selection and go to face mode. I can just hover over it and hit L to select linked. You can see what parts are where. So we got this. There's that island is this inside part. And then we have, here's the outside part here. And then this is going to be kind of this main wraparound. And this will be the interior. And this is this, whoops, hitting the wrong button there. There we go, and here's this inner wall. We could probably make these two connect. So let's grab, go into edge mode. I don't want to grab the whole edge loop. I'm just going to grab this edge and this edge. Let's clear those seams. And we'll unwrap it one more time. Yeah, I think that's going to work pretty well. So let's go to our modifiers, and we will apply our mirror modifier. Make sure clipping is on before you apply it, but we will apply that mirror modifier, go back in edit mode, select everything and unwrap. And now we can work on packing our islands. So you hit Q, well, it's in my quick favorites, but average island scale. Again, that's up in UV's average island scale, and pack islands, you can right click to add to your quick favorites, and that's where you can hit Q. Everything's the same scale, so now we just need to rotate it so that the everything is facing the same direction. So I'm going to turn off sync selection, and I'll just grab island by island, and we will rotate accordingly. So this one looks like we need to rotate negative 90 degrees, but I'm also going to change my pivot point to the median point. I can go R, negative 90, and enter. And there we go, that's in the right direction. This one will need to rotate the opposite way. Oops. We'll go R 90 degrees. So those two are good. This island is going to be, looks like it's over here. We need to rotate this 90 degrees. That one's good. This needs to rotate 180 degrees. It's this back wall here. So we'll go R180. And then finally we have this piece, which is going to be a negative 90, and the front piece, which is going to be 90. So now that they're all in the correct orientation, you can select everything and pack the islands, and just make sure you turn off rotate in the pack islands option. And there we have it. Now you can see that there's a fair amount of texture space that we're not utilizing. So we could rotate some of these back if we wanted to. I mean, let's get out of local view and unhide the grate and kind of get some perspective on what we're actually going to see. And you can see the outside edges we're not really going to see. So that's probably a pretty good candidate to rotate those edges. I'll go back into local view here. So not really going to see this, so we can rotate this 90 degrees. And we're not going to see this one either. So we'll rotate this one. We'll go this way, 90 degrees as well. Let's see, let's try packing that better. And then where's the front? I think it's this piece. No, it's this one. This one we can rotate 90 degrees as well. And let's pack those islands. Whoops. Select everything and then pack. Yeah, that's okay, but I feel like we could probably do better if we just pack this by hand. I'm going to undo that rotation. Maybe not. We can rotate this. Let's move this one down here. Move this down here. I think what we'll do is we'll actually rotate this one that way. Kind of like Tetris. Just a manual and slightly more tedious Tetris. We'll do that. Yeah, I think that will work. Now we can select everything, change our pivot point to the 2D cursor, and then scale it up a bit. Looks like we can move this one down too. And that's better. That's a more efficient pack than what we were getting. We could even grab those. We'll move those up in the Y direction. Then we can kind of tuck this one in there a little bit. And do I want to do anything with that? No, I think we'll be fine there. So then I can move this one down to make sure we're not overlapping here at all. And we'll scale that up even more. Okay, just to get the most use out of the texture space as possible. Although I just realized I was planning on packing the grate in here too, so maybe all of this wasn't strictly necessary. Just depends if you want to have them share the same texture space or not. Either way, good practice, right? All right, now let's do the grate. So the grate, we've got a solidify modifier and a bevel modifier on it. Let's go into just solid view here so we can see this a little bit clearer. One thing that I noticed right away is that I did not shade this smooth, so let's do that. I'm also going to sharpen up these edges just a little bit. We'll go 0.003 on the bevel modifier, and I'm also going to change the segments down to 3. This is so that when I apply these, which I'm going to do right now, the edge loops, whoops, actually I wanted 2 segments. Change the segments down to 2. That's going to create, let me apply those again with Control A while hovering over the modifier. Now I've got a nice, easy center line for everything. Okay, and we still have the same shape, so I haven't changed that. Now we can mark our seams, and we'll do this in much the same way. We're going to find our corner pieces, our corner edges, and there and there. We will mark those seams, and we'll just click unwrap, and we can kind of see what we've got. This is the outside rim, and then this is everything else that we still need to put some seams on. On this outside rim, I'm going to grab some corners. We'll go with the back corners right here. Mark that seam. Unwrap that now. It's going to be a long, straight piece, and that's probably going to be too long. It's probably going to make everything else. You'll see how, because this is now laying out straight, this is smaller. So we're taking texture space right away from this. So in order to break that up, I'll just grab the opposite corner here, and I will mark that seam as well, and we'll re-unwrap that. Oops, that wasn't the opposite corner, was it? You reorient. Okay, so I grabbed that back corner, so then we'll grab this front corner. So here, here, and here. Mark seam, unwrap. I'll turn on live unwrap so we can kind of see the updates as we go. Okay, so we have the rim completely separated. Now we need to separate kind of the top and the bottom faces, and then we're going to have a bunch of internal faces here. So I'm just going to grab the center edges on everything. And I will mark those seams. We select everything, and we can turn on sync selection too so that we always see our results. So we've got that. Now at the same time, we need to also unwrap the bottom, or mark the seams on the bottom. So same thing, of the 3 edges, we're grabbing the center one. We'll mark that seam. Okay, now we've got a separate piece, but the separate piece is like a closed track. We want that to lay flat, because if we apply our UV test grid and go into material preview, you can see that we're still a bit distorted here, right? And we don't want that. So let's fix that. To do that, let's go into top view just so I can reorient myself in space. Go back into solid view. Oops. And there we go. I will go with this inside corner. This is going to probably be the least, whoops, not that one. This one, with the least conspicuous corner with which to cut that. So I'll mark the seam there. And you can see that now that lays out perfectly flat. So it's going to be the same sort of thing all the way across for each of these little cutouts. So we'll grab the rim around it, and I'll do these 3 all at the same time. Oops, not that one. I want that one, and that one. You'll know you're grabbing the right edge when the edge loop doesn't go all the way around. So if we mark those seams, like if we look over here, oops, if we look over here, if I grab this one, you'll see it's going all the way through the mesh, and so we don't want that one. And if I grab this one, it's going all the way around the cutout, and we don't want that one. We want the one in the middle. Make sure we got all of those. On that side, we did. I'm going to grab these inside corners as well, and we'll mark those seams. Okay. You see it's starting to flatten out, but we need to do the bottom edges as well. Now, what you could probably do with these bottom, or with the bottom here, is delete the faces. We're probably never going to see them. But I think I'm going to leave them for now. Those, and then make sure we go around to this side and get this end as well. And we'll mark those seams. Okay, so now we got some more cutouts here, which is great. Where is this one? I'm going to hit L to select linked and turn on delimit seam. Okay, it's right there. I just didn't see it. All right, so we do the same sort of thing for the rest of these. So I'm just going to pause it because I'm going to be picking the same seams another, what is that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. You see me do that 8 more times. Okay, so I've marked all the seams. You can see our UVs are looking much better. Everything is nice and straight and laid out. So let's take a look at our UV grid in object mode here on the front view. That's looking pretty good. I'm not seeing any distortion at all. So let's look at our layout here. For whatever reason, this Blender really wants this piece to be horizontal, and I don't. So it's going to rotate that 90. Whoops. Turn off sync selection here. We'll select the island. Now I can rotate that 90 degrees. And then we can pack the, whoops. Select everything, average island scale, pack islands. That's looking a lot better. We could rotate everything 90 degrees as well. It's like negative 90 degrees. Repack those islands. And that's looking pretty good. Now, we're done unwrapping, we're done packing. You don't have to do any more. If you want to pack them into the same texture, then we can select them both, tab in edit mode, hit Q to average island scale, and then pack the islands once more. And you can see this is what we get. We may need to do a little bit more manual packing. It's because we can see that there's a fair amount of unused, unoptimized space. So let's see if we can improve this real quick. So we can tuck that one in there. And these are just kind of those inside walls of the slits in the grate, so I'm not worried too much about those going in the right place or in the right orientation. Let's see. Maybe we can rotate this one back. Also change my pivot point back to the median point. So maybe we put this one like here. This, if we rotate this 90. Remember, these are the outsides that we don't really see. And let's rotate this one 90. And I think we'll do this sort of thing here. Move these up. Move these up. Kind of perhaps a slightly more efficient pack there. Do that sort of thing. We'll even do that. Move that down again, make sure that we're not overlapping. It's pretty good, and then I can just take all of these and that. Move it up in the Y direction a little bit. And then we'll set our pivot point back to the 2D cursor, make sure that that's at 0. So you can hit N, 2D cursor, make sure that that's at 0. And we'll scale it up. And that's definitely better. Okay, so that is unwrapping the storm drain. Everything's nice and even, and it'll make adding a texture onto that go really easily, really smoothly. So next video, we'll start with cameras and lights, and then finally we'll start making the scene look a little bit more cyberpunk.